And joining us now is Nita Wiggins. She is a journalism lecturer at the Sorbonne and author of Civil Rights Baby, My Story of Race, Sports, and Breaking Barriers in American Journalism. So good to see you again.
Good afternoon, yes.
So whoever wins this race will become the first Black person to serve a full Senate term from Georgia. How significant is that?
It is significant because anyone who observes the United States sees that we have different levels of quality of life. And Black people, unfortunately, are on the lower end on many scales, such as economic wealth, such as salaries, and even a Black person who has a college degree will earn on average less money than a white person with a high school degree. In many areas in the United States, in areas where Black families are concentrated, they don't have the same support for infrastructure, for internet and at-home learning, and many indicators like that. And a point about health as well. When we look at insulin and diabetes, Reverend Warnock has been part of a bill, sponsoring a bill to put a cap on rates for insulin. And Black people and Hispanic people suffer at higher instances, higher rates than white people in diabetes and other health-related issues. And so having a Black senator for a full term, we would think that person would focus on issues that are very relevant to the people closest to him.
Let's talk about these candidates. On the one hand, you have Democrat Rafael Warnock, who you just referred to there, a pastor at Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, which was the church home of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. On the other, you have, on the Republican side, a football star, Herschel Walker, very well known. He has really struggled to be coherent on the campaign trail. How do you size up these candidates?
People keep trying to downplay the attraction of Herschel Walker as a candidate and as a political figure and as a Georgia fable. I have been familiar with Herschel Walker for almost 40 years. He and I are just 2 years apart in age. We are both from Georgia. And as a young person in high school, I heard of Herschel Walker at another high school an hour and a half from my town of Augusta, Georgia.
That name carries a lot of meaning.
His celebrity was starting before he went to the University of Georgia. And we know he was there, he succeeded, he won the Heisman Trophy, and that many people lost track of what he was doing. But when he reemerged, he is a spokesperson for what many Georgians like, such as when we talk about the issue of a woman's right to control her body. Herschel Walker scored a huge support during the debate when Reverend Warnock said a woman in the examining room with her doctor and her family and religious person if she would like, he said that's too many people in the room. Herschel Walker countered with, there's also a baby in the room.
But at the same time, a lot of Republicans as well will admit that Herschel Walker is a pretty problematic candidate.
He's a problematic candidate when some people are speaking, but when people go to vote, there are Georgians who appreciate what he says. Not only on the abortion issue, but during the one debate between the two candidates, Herschel Walker said that Reverend Warnock was voting with President Joe Biden over 90% of the time. So Walker said, I'm not running against Reverend Warnock, I'm running against President Biden and Mr. Warnock. And that sounds good to some Georgians. People outside of Georgia question it, but there are Georgians who appreciate that.
Well, as we heard in the story, Herschel Walker was recruited into the race by Donald Trump. What would a victory by Herschel Walker mean in a broader political sense, do you think?
Well, again, as we are looking at the balance in the Senate, we've had people discuss that ad infinitum, too much. Let me talk about not this election, but the next time there is a Senate vote. When we come back to vote in 2 more years, as we vote for president, we also will have the vote for the Senate, obviously, and the House. And if the House and Senate are not retained or not controlled by the Democrats, the Republicans are really going to have a stronghold at the national level because they already have a stronghold at the state level. And that's what this election means. It's really, as everyone has said, it's setting up the next vote. And because the ground game for what the Republicans have organized for decades is so strong, it will be difficult for Democrats to take back some of the decision-making power in the country if this election goes toward Herschel Walker. And then the next time the national offices flip, there will be such a small bit of control by the Democrats.
We talked about Herschel Walker. Let's talk about the Democrat, Raphael Warnock. What kind of campaign do you think he ran?
He's a solid person, a solid citizen, a respected person. He has run a correct campaign. He even has good policy issues, such as rent control and such as partnering in a nonpartisan way with Marco Rubio on maternal health. And so he's running in a way that is attractive to many voters. But we have to think about the Georgia voters who reelected Marjorie Taylor Greene and who reelected Governor Brian Kemp. And the people who voted for those two Republicans don't really care to hear the other types of policies that are not being explained by Herschel Walker. Those Georgia voters it is a mixed bag. Enough of them are in support of the ideas of the GOP, and sure, some are in support of the ideas of the Democrats. But outsiders have to understand Georgians like what Marjorie Taylor Greene says and what the governor says. Governor Kemp is the 8th most popular governor in the United States. His presence on the ticket helped Herschel Walker in a huge way. If this had not been an election year for Governor Kemp, then Mr. Walker may not have made it to the next round. But the ideas of Herschel Walker are popular in Georgia.
Right. All politics are local, as they say. Nita Wiggins, journalism lecturer at the Sorbonne, author of Civil Rights Baby, My Story of Race, Sports, and Breaking Barriers in American Journalism. Thanks so much for joining us here on France 24.
You're welcome.